Welcome back. A 6% fall on Nalco, a 6.5% fall on Hindalco. The entire commodity complex too is crumbling in trade. To talk more about it, we're now joined by Amit Dixit, the research analyst at Edelweiss. Amit, afternoon. First, if you could walk us through the overnight developments or the developments over the weekend which have resulted in this kind of a fall.
Well, I would say that this development is the result of the flip-flop on the North Hydro part. I mean, very recently in last week they had mentioned that they would be fully curtailing their Alunorte facility, which was quite surprising to be honest, because fully curtailing Alunorte was never in the radar, and our investors believed that the company had publicly stated on 6th of September that they would be going ahead with the dialogue is in a positive territory. But with that coming in, suddenly, we found alumina prices going up, and within a space of 2 days, in fact, there was a deal concluded for 30 KT, wherein we found that alumina prices were at $620, around 25% increase in 2 days. Now, once that happened, now we also suspected that, well, I mean, this has to, there has to be, some logic to it, but we couldn't find any, unfortunately. Now, what happened that after that, North Hydro, because this is an election year, and what we presume that it's very difficult for any government, particularly in Brazil or elsewhere, to see that around, 4,700 people would lose their job if the curtailment would have gone ahead. And therefore, based on this technology that they have, the press filter technology, they were allowed to, they got an exceptional ruling in their favor.
Sure.
And therefore, on the weekend, we found that, and the signs were there. We released a note on Friday itself in which we said that, Aluminium has not reacted accordingly. So therefore, the signs were quite ominous, and therefore, it came on when it came on over the weekend. It was surprise, but to us it was just corroboration of whatever we expected.
Okay, Amit, got your point. And the thing is that this gigantic alumina refinery is restarting. That's the fact as of now of what we know today. What about stocks? This major alumina rally, which helped stocks like Nalco, I mean, that stock's down just 6%. Is today's fall the tip of the iceberg? Are we going to see a lot of this rally sort of unwind on a stock like Nalco? Where does it leave Hindalco for that matter? What would your advice be on these two?
Sure. So Nalco, unfortunately, we don't cover these stocks, so can't give any firm recommendation on the stock. But definitely would like to talk about why leave Nalco or Hindalco? I mean, look at any global stock. Look at South 32. Look at Alumina. Look at any stock anywhere. I mean, all the stocks, particularly alumina heavy, alumina long stocks, they are down, and to say that, well, whether it will be the tip of an iceberg or something, I mean, you have to be a soothsayer to kind of portend that. But going ahead with, I would like to talk about a little bit about Hindalco. Hindalco, I feel it's like the business is increasingly becoming LME neutral, and therefore we are quite positive on the stock. But talking about this development in particular, when we see, that alumina to aluminium ratio is something that we need to monitor at this stage. And if you look at it, I mean, alumina prices so far have not corrected. Futures still are trading at 620, which is quite surprising, and that's what we believe that these prices also should temper, and the stock reaction is a testimony to that fact. So, it remains to be seen. Well, as far as aluminium is concerned, I think the level that we are, at least our estimates are around 2020 to 2030 for FY20, based on this current, based on the current demand-supply scenario and inventory scenario that we see. So Hindalco, I believe, it's a little bit overdone. The reason being that it's LME neutral, but Nalco and the other alumina long players definitely was quite expected.
Okay, so two-part question, Amit. One, what is your own estimate at what alumina prices are likely to trade at, given the demand-supply dynamics from the current $620 per ton? Is it headed lower? And secondly, you spoke about this big facility, Brazilian facility, Alunorte, which is going to be now operating at 50% capacity. Is there a chance it goes to 100%? And what further impact will it have on prices?
I would take the second question first. So Alunorte was operating at 50%. It's not that it was not operating. It was always operating at, it was operating at 50% throughout. There was a chance that, this will be fully curtailed. And if you look in context of global alumina trade, which is to the tune of 20 million tons ex-China. So this 3 billion ton going off, particularly at a time when, alumina availability itself is a question mark, was a big trigger for prices to go up. Now, the chances that things are again back to status quo, it operates at 50% again. So so that is something that is that has spoofed the market. And if you look at it, the alumina prices are, aluminum prices are back to where they were before the things started going northwards. Now, coming to the second part of the question, that how much time it will take, or whether the full resumption will happen. Well, there are constructive dialogues happening with the Brazilian government. Now, it depends on when the court decision comes. And the company itself, Norsk Hydro, in fact, on 6th of September, they mentioned that they have signed a couple of affirmative agreements with the relevant authorities. And therefore, we saw that alumina prices, which were ruling at around close to $600, they came tumbling down.
Right.
What we expect that as soon as Brazilian election is over, and definitely there are steps being taken by both sides to see that the facility comes back to operation.
Okay.
But very difficult at this stage to put a timeline to it.
Okay, Amit, just very quickly, we've discussed aluminum and alumina threadbare. A stock like Vedanta also falling 5%. Is this just overall risk aversion, or is there something more to it? I'm talking about Vedanta, which is not primarily hinged on the aluminum story.
Yes, that's right. And in fact, if you look at Vedanta, in this scenario, Vedanta stands to gain because it's an alumina short player. So alumina prices going down is better for Vedanta. Aluminium ratio going down from 30% to 20%. That's what we expect is good for Vedanta. So I believe it's a overall risk aversion, I would say, at this stage.
Okay. Thank you, Amit, for joining in. So that's the view from Edelweiss.